What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. It seems that a new psionic asset from Skywatcher has come forward, and we've got allegedly some of the most amazing footage ever recorded. Alien entities, all kinds of stuff, right? And more importantly, Magic Mike Battista used to work for Skywatcher. I'm not sure if he still does, but he is confirming the landing that happened for Skywatcher, right? The UFO that landed that I reported on, I don't know, a few weeks ago.
Now, how is Skywatcher going to catch something that they summon with psionics?
They have already.
They've already captured something?
I know for a fact that, like, people from NASA and the military have already been there with them, and they've had a landing.
Holy shit.
So he's confirming that that happened. And not only that, he's telling the story of what happened. He's responsible for landing the craft, and he's got video footage of this landing. Now, I don't know anything about NASA present or any of that, so maybe there's a different one. But he said there's several landings, so maybe this is a different one. I don't know, but, you know, we're going to dive into it. So let's learn a little bit more about who Mike Battista is.
A Green Beret, former Green Beret, Magic Mike Battista is joining us. Welcome, Mike. Good to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Mike's a former US Army Green Beret. I think you got out in 2023. Is that Mike? Right, Mike?
It was around 2021.
2021, was it? Right. Mike's also been one of the psionics working very closely with Jake Barber's Skywatcher group doing the psionic summoning. And in the course of the last few years, Mike's been seeing and experiencing, often in his private capacity outside of his work with Skywatcher, some quite extraordinary phenomena. And we're going to show you a video today that, frankly, is extraordinary, and I challenge anyone to provide me with a prosaic explanation for what we're about to show you. I think potentially what Mike is about to show us today is momentous. Is it imagery of a non-human intelligence? Magic Mike Battista, welcome. Welcome to Reality Check. Good to have you here.
Happy to be here.
All right, so let's jump into the landing once and for all.
So when did the landing incident occur?
Well, there were several of those. The one they're revealing today, that occurred in April of 2023.
So talk me through how that came about. What was happening? Why do you think that this alleged landing of what I say this with a laugh because it is just such confronting imagery, what we're about to show the public. It is extraordinary. How did this happen?
Well, this is after a year and change of just being outside every night, like interacting with the phenomenon and building that relationship, but still not understanding my purpose in this or why they're visiting me. Almost like loitering, and I want to say harassing, but they're like, hey, we're getting his attention. If you're this hyper intelligent species, this non-human intelligence, you know, that's way far more advanced than us, then just land. I was like, do it. Like, are you too scared to land? I was almost antagonizing, you know, the connection in my mind, and because I was frustrated, you know, I didn't know why this was happening, and you know, I didn't think they were gonna do it, and they called my bluff.
Now, I have to admit, this is interesting to hear the story. Again, some more details are still needed, even though this is a really long interview, which I highly recommend checking out. Don't worry, we're about to get into some footage, photos, all kinds of different things, really just video footage that I guess they've had screenshots too, and you know, that sort of thing. So anyway, let's continue with the story.
I'm looking at the sky, and very clear night. And after expressing this frustration, I see something very high up in the sky, like you see like a satellite or something, but it was blue. and it was going by overhead, and it ejected something out of the back of it, and it had its own like light source, almost looked like a shooting star got ejected out of the bottom of an orb.
Mike, at this stage, you're holding your phone up, a cell phone, and you're filming what you're seeing, correct?
Yeah, I believe that was shot on a Galaxy.
Okay. What did they say to you about your dog? Tell me that story.
So again, it was like infant stage of NHI communication, and I asked him to land, and then I instantly got this thought response back in my brain saying, "We'll land, but only if you put your dog away in the crate." And I was like, "Oh, that's a strange request," because I usually have my dog has seen more aliens than anybody. Okay, he's always with me, and but he's Belgian Shepherd, Belgian Malinois Dutch Shepherd mix, and he's
They're a
trained.
very big, fierce dog. They're used by a lot of people in special forces, but they're
Absolutely.
a terrifying animal, aren't they? They're a very fierce
Absolutely.
dog.
So I was like, "All right, sorry, Duke. We're gonna have to sit this one out." So I brought him back outside, and then that's when something ejected out of the bottom, and then you could see it slowly, coming down until it just started to get closer and closer, and then once it got in proximity of me within 100 feet, as it was closing in, it did something to me that affected me physiologically in a way that almost made me docile or compliant, which I thought was strange, almost like not a dreamlike state or a trance, but like it was way too casual for me at the time to be seeing that happen.
Well, you're about to have a close encounters of the fifth kind. You're about to meet, allegedly, something non-human. I would be pretty excited and possibly a little bit scared. I can hear your respiration on the video. You're breathing far more quickly than normal, I think.
Right. And so when it was coming down and it finally hits the ground, I'm standing there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, "What is that?" I didn't have a frame of reference, because I hadn't seen something like that yet. So I'm staring it down and it's staring me down. And then there was also a chicken nearby, and we're all staring each other down. And it almost looked as surprised to see me as I was to it. So
Now, Mike, in that freeze and zoom, you see it looks like some kind of translucent white-blue face, but it's not a human face. It's two black dots for eyes. It looks like a sort of a dot for the mouth, and it's a long ovaloid head.
is it on the ground or still in the air at this point? I can't see the video.
I think it's still in the air at this point. It seems to be metamorphosizing out of nothing.
Right. So as it was coming down, it looked like ethereal, like if they're interdimensional, maybe it was still materializing in the third dimension. And as it got closer, I remember it started morphing like this and pulled one of these, and it was shape shifting into all these different things. I don't know what they were. You have to take a closer look at it until it turned into something that you would see on a petroglyph, right?
I want to stop you there for a moment. It looks like almost like it's got wings. You see the head, and then you see bluey white protuberances out to each side.
It came down as it looked like a cube with something sticking out the top, and then it started morphing into certain things. And then it turned into something you'd see on a petroglyph, and then after that, I saw a humanoid-looking form of it, and he was like wearing a skin-tight metallic purple suit, greenish, grayish, bluish skin. It was nighttime in the camera, and then after that, that's when it appeared as what you're talking about. And in the video, like when I was seeing it in person for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that kind of looked like an angel to me," because it kind of had like the wings like this and like a light emanating at the top, like a halo. But as it got closer, it wasn't that stereotypical image of an angel you get when you think of the Bible. It was a solid craft that was lit up in that way.
Now, look, I have to admit, if I just saw the video footage, what are we looking at? I'm just being honest. Okay, I'm just gonna be raw here. I want to see something, but I don't. It just looks like blurry blobs. If I'm being honest. Now with Mike Batista's witness testimony with it, all right, that adds a little bit more, but it still seems interesting. Now I will admit, having gone out into the field myself to do this. Your real world experience versus what you capture on video is totally different. And I know that for a fact. I mean, astronomically different. So you could have a profound experience and what you get on video doesn't match it. I've seen it. It happens. But with that said, the video footage it's almost like Ross is looking for things that aren't there, right? Like he wasn't there. So I don't know, just like we're seeing faces. But I will admit some of the images we're about to see here in a moment are a little more compelling, but still, very ambiguous. But let's continue. Now, this next one is an interesting one because it's like a mist with some sort of cube in it, right? And you really just see the screenshot. It'd be nice to see the video that this comes from, but it could be just a photo. Take a look.
Not that high up, like not like a satellite. It was a blue mist, and there was this transparent cube in the mist, which I snapped a picture of as well. And that was the start of this journey.
So just talk to that blue cube for a moment, Mike, and talk about it for me.
Yeah, so it was just hovering, just stationary in the sky, and it looked like the cube inside was transparent, and it was kind of moving like this, and then it just kind of drifted and faded away. And I was on the phone, so I was like, I told him exactly what was happening, and then I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was cool, until the next day, and then the next day and the next day, where I was consistently being visited by this phenomenon daily since then. And it was almost like they showed up and they're like, hey, we're not leaving. Like, we're here. Like, the faster you get over it, faster we can get back to business type thing. So,
I mean, again, Ross here is going to go over the video footage and it just seems like we're finding faces and things that aren't there. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Is there something there? Right. Again, with Mike's testimony, it does, you need context, I guess, overall, right, to have an opinion about this and to get more of the story.
Watching this on real time, and you need to go frame by frame, but what you can see is it kind of moves between looking like an insect, like with that ovaloid football-shaped head, and then it's like the classic grey head, like the Whitley Strieber communion book with the round bulbous head. And you can see why it looks like an angel, because you see what looked like wings coming out from the side of it. It's quite extraordinary.
Now, let's move on to the next part, which is Mike has been working with Carl Crusher, who, if you remember, is the one that I've been filming with as well over the summer, amongst many other people. And he's the one that told me about Skywatcher, and I put out that video clip of him. So this is interesting. And Mike went out there to hang out with Carl Crusher.
And obviously this video was recorded in 2023, but you've been working with a lovely fellow, a fellow Viking, Carl Andreasen, Carl Crusher, on YouTube. Recommend his shows, by the way. He's done a lot of work on indigenous petroglyphs. Now, what's fascinating to me, tell me the story about the petroglyph that you saw you see a shape that is whatever this creature has morphed into, and it is uncanny because it looks like the petroglyph that you've sent me a picture of that you and Carl Crusher had seen only a few weeks ago.
Now, I will admit these pictographs that I also got to see, I have footage probably of this exact same pictograph. I haven't gone through all the stuff yet. We're still in the process of editing all of it. But, you do see a lot of these pictographs out there. So I guess what Mike is doing is comparing that to what he saw in that, area, I guess. I will say the pictographs are very interesting. All right, so let's get back to this video that, again, we're just kind of picking it apart. This is of the landing, and they're just kind of taking different portions of it, right? And, what Mike and Ross say here next is very interesting.
The entity was sitting there, and the thing that caught my attention immediately was there was something poking its head out from behind it, looking at me. That was smaller than the grayish whitish thing you're talking about.
Oh yeah, you see it. It's literally
You
the next
zoom in,
frame.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
3 minutes 55. Yeah, so it's peeking around that person.
All right, what do you think? Do you think someone's coming over the side, right? Like that's what it's like. Imagine someone coming up from behind me, right, and bringing their head. That's essentially what they're saying. I don't know. Do you see that? Again, I feel like we're reaching for things here. Is it just me? Am I crazy? Now, all right, this next video, I will admit, or this next screenshot, I will admit is interesting, but on its own, as a screenshot, right? Like played through the video, it's not as compelling, but you know, tell me what you see in this image.
Now, this is where I gasped. As you probably know, Mike, I went to Egypt with friends last year, and I saw a lot of carved granite Egyptian statues. And the image we're looking at now it looks uncannily, I call it the Egyptian. It's uncanny. It's a bluey, purpley white object, entity. There appears to be an arm extended, its right arm. It's looking towards the camera. It seems to be sitting on a platform of some kind. Can you talk me through what you're seeing at the time?
It's hard with the video not in front of me. So you said the arms extended is sending it out and touching something. So it looked like there was. It's hard to say because to me it looked like a skull. It looked like it was holding a skull out in its hand, and that reminds me like because the petroglyphs out in Utah we just saw those same ones were holding heads, like they're calling it the head hunters. And I was like, well, maybe that's like an interface and it's like touching something, like we would. But it seems like it was a being and then it grabbed onto something. But then later on in the video, it almost looks like that centerpiece stays consistent and it's like almost like a portal and things are coming in and out of it.
I mean, it kind of looks like someone at karaoke, right? Holding a microphone. I don't know what's happening, or a sword or something, right? Like, I don't know what's happening here, but it does look like a figure. There needs more context, even for this. Like, you need context for both sides, right? You need context for the full story, but when you take one slice of an image or of a video, right, you need more context to build what that is as well. So, I don't know. What do you think? It's an interesting image on its own. All right, so let's move on to this next image, which I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by. Let's take a look.
It's uncanny, Mike. It's the moment where I think irrefutably there is an image of what looks like a humanoid head, but it's not human. It's alien. It's got a long neck, a football ovaloid head, dots for eyes, black dots for eyes, a black dot for a mouth. Talk me through did you see this at the time?
Is that the one that looks like he's leaning up against something? He's sitting up against it?
It's literally all you're seeing is a translucent white blue object showing looks like a mantis being or I don't know what it is, but essentially
right. And those things were only like it happened so quick, and I saw so many different beings. Like the mantis being was one. I saw something look like a gray, and then actually, if you look above the white ethereal guy crouching, there's like this bluish. It almost looks like a mask or a face that's been. There was like another taller entity that was behind. Like there was so much going on there, and you could see in the video like every 10 to 15 frames. It changes into a new being in a whole new setting and environment in that little area.
Yeah, it's almost like it was showing you everybody there saying, hi,
Yeah,
this is me.
yeah.
Here's another guy. I mean, within a second, there are multiple entities, but there's a kind of a bluey green humanoid creature that seems to be looking down and it's tilting its head slightly. And it's indubitably looks like the top part of a torso that's not human. And it's an ovaloid football head. It's extraordinary.
All right, so you definitely see what looks to be like a silhouette, right, of a human there, or being or something. I don't know what's going on, right? Again, Mike just describing something very visual, but we're not getting those visuals in this video. Right, and that's what's happening. Mike is describing a lot of details, a lot of visual, but what we're seeing doesn't really match that, and that's interesting. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I need to process this, if I'm being honest. All right, so this next part is very, very interesting, for sure. Take a listen.
So that was when it was coming down. Well, and like it was right after it turned into that petroglyph shaped figure. That's when it materialized as something that looked humanoid, like in the 3D that you could touch. And he was wearing a skin tight purple metallic suit. He had like some sort of controller in his hand, and at the time, like whatever craft that looked like the angel in the beginning, like it opened up. So now it's like almost he's on like the hoverboard from like the Green Goblin, and there's all these orbs behind him, and it was he was showing off.
Okay, so I think we've milked that video for as much as we can for the moment. We're going to change videos now, and we're going to go to another one that is called The Initiation. And I'm just going to open that.
So Ross, that first minute is the raw footage, and I was still in that trance, almost like dream state, and I'm holding my phone and I'm trying to keep it still and I'm fighting it, so it comes up in the corner of the image, and then we did the raw image first, and then we zoomed in and stabilized it and all that.
No, I've spoken to Carl. For anybody who's going to, I'm sure there will be debunkers and skeptics who say that Carl and you have done something to the vision, but essentially all you've done is lift the brightness, lift the contrast, and zoom. There's no other changes that have been made to this image.
And I invite all the debunkers and skeptics, and I'm not here to try to prove anything to anybody. Like I encourage independent research. Take a look for yourself. But yeah, we isolated that corner piece of the raw footage, and we manually stabilized it because I'm over here like this, and then we just adjusted the hues a little bit, the exposure, brightness, that kind of stuff, and it made the figures pop, and you're able to really see. But it wasn't until we slowed down the frames even more that like a whole nother world dawned upon us. That it was just shocking.
Okay, so at around about 4 minutes 45 on that video, I'm just going to roll that and get you to talk me through it. What I'm seeing is a kind of a blurry, greeny blue object. I presume that's some kind of platform that they were sitting on. And you see what looks like two heads. Can you talk me through what we're seeing?
Right. So it looked like if the craft maybe was shaped like an egg, for example, like it opened up like this, and there was two beings there. There was one in the middle, and then another one. They were moving around a little bit, and that's when you could see like the mantis arms at some point reaching out for the skull. And sorry, I mistake earlier in the we were talking about the first video. I mixed it up with the second video. So, but yeah, this is where he reaches his arm out, and it looks like he's holding the skull.
Okay, let me go to that. Let me go to that very quickly so that we can talk through it. I need to guide the editor. I mean, ultimately, all the way through this, it looks like it's phase shifting. What do you think is going on? Do you think these creatures are coming interdimensionally? I mean, I'm not aware of what you're being told telepathically, but are you being given any clues as to what's happening here, as to where they're coming from? Because it looks to me like they're sort of...
I think it's telling me a story. Like, it was trying to show me so much.
So, all right, let's move on to another part that they show during the interview, which again, I'm going to put a link in the description. I highly recommend going and checking out the entire thing on your own, because there's just a lot of details and context I think you should take in from this to be fair to the whole situation. So, but let's just this last clip that I have for you here.
It appears to be peeking from around that screen. What do you think that is? Can you talk me through what we're looking at?
Right. So, like earlier in the video, I mentioned it looked like that mantis was grabbing something by the head, right? But that figure in the middle stayed consistent throughout the video, and it almost like it was a portal, and things were poking his head in and out of it, and like poking around it, and it always stayed like in the middle. And no matter how many times the craft or environment changed or shape shifted, like that middle piece would always like be glowing or like, you know, like an interface or some sort of portal, like, and you know, you're always seeing things peeking out from behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was trying to find in the quick run through on the video, I was trying to find the moment when the mantis holds up the head.
You can see he has three
Yeah.
fingers, and he's clearly grasping something. And the
Okay, so it's got you doing an audio through it, Mike. So I'm just going to play that it through its entirety, and then I'll get you to talk through it afterwards.
There's a mantis. This is my footage. Like the headhunter's a legend, has a friggin' head in his hand. This is it right here. Keeps turning into all this stuff. It's like telling a story. You slow it down, you can really see what's going on. I'm back at the beginning. Go frame by frame right now. What was that?
All right, betters. You know, I don't know what to make. Glad Mike came out and is telling the story, and we can all, like he said in his interview, you know, we can all decide for ourselves. And he welcomes people criticizing and being skeptical and all of that in independent research, and I applaud that. So, you know, I don't know. I'm a little confused. I have to admit it. Hearing a story is more compelling than the video and the shots and everything, because I feel like we're finding things that aren't there. But a couple of them, yeah, you do kind of see some figures, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I still got to process this. So again, let me know what you think down in the comments. We'll see you guys in the next video. Link in the description. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.